Hi and welcome to Chris Ryan Golf. We are once again here in the TaylorMade Performance Centre at the Belfry, and the video today is going to be based around the topic of lag, and it's going to be looking at some of the faults that I see golfers, or some of the mistakes I see golfers falling into when they are having a practice session desperately trying to create more lag as they approach the golf ball. So we're not going to go too much into sort of what we actually have to do to create lag, because it's actually more of a sequence of events that has to happen as opposed to just trying to maintain or retain the angles. But as I say, we're just going to look at one of the things that I see, golfers day in, day out fall into the habit of doing wrong, which really causes them to hit poorer shots around on the golf course, even though they're trying to maybe make improvements to their golf swing. So let's just quickly talk about what we mean by lag and what golfers are maybe trying to do. It's one of the topics that will be searched for quite a lot on YouTube, I would imagine. The topic of kind of lag or late release or all this kind of stuff is something that golfers tend to want to try and find out information about, and they generally tend to want to have more of in their golf swing. Mainly because it's generally related to greater distance, greater speed, and golfers often believe that the increase in lag will give them greater distance, and it will in some circumstances. So we're talking about basically the angle formed between the lead arm and the club shaft, okay? So if I was to just take my starting position here, halfway back, I've got about a 90-degree angle there. Now, if I was to increase or decrease that angle, I should say, this we would class, or golfers would class as more lag, and this they would class as less lag. Now, the reason golfers are trying to search for this topic and trying to work on this is because many golfers, when they get to the top, will have the club shaft moving away from them, or the club head, I should say, too early, so we lose all of the angles we had in that backswing. What golfers are often trying to do is retain this angle for as long as possible to be able to use that stored energy into the golf ball. A delayed sort of release or a sort of retention of this angle is something we do see in most good golf swings. The problem I tend to see is when golfers are trying to do this too much and they almost achieve too much lag. What we're going to talk about in this video is we're going to talk about this lead wrist. Okay, in my case it's my left wrist. For many of you it will be your left wrist as well, but if you're a right-handed golfer, if you're a left-handed golfer, it's obviously going to be your right wrist. So we're just going to look at the three conditions we can have with this wrist. We're going to call this neutral or flat. We're going to call this cupped or extended. And we're going to call this bowed or flexed. So your lead wrist can be in three different positions really: neutral, extended or flexed. Now, what we're going to do, I want you to do a little experiment. I want you to stand up here with a golf club. Okay, golf club's going to be essential for this little drill. And I want you to try and go halfway back and try and create as much of an angle as you can between the golf club and the lead arm there. Okay, so I reckon I've got that probably maybe just less than 90 degrees. Now, if I move my wrist into a more extended position, so that's this way, okay, so cupped or extended, what you will find is as I do that, I can generally increase or decrease the angle that I had. So that would be classed for many golfers as more lag, okay? Now, if I move my wrist into a more flexed or a more bowed position, so that's kind of in this condition here, what you'll notice is if I go from my extend position and I work my wrist to a more flexed position, you'll notice how that would appear that I've got less lag. So what we would generally see from golfers who are on the practice range, on the practice area, trying to get that golf club, what they feel is a more lagged position, maybe the club shaft closer to the right shoulder, maybe they've watched videos of, let's say, Sergio or that kind of thing. What they will often do to achieve that is they will extend or cup this lead wrist. So what they will do is they'll go to the top and they will cup this lead wrist, and that will get them this kind of really kind of excessive position here, where if they were using a mirror from face on, they would look at that and think, brilliant, that's exactly what I'm after. I've got a huge amount more lag there. If I turn this way, what you are going to see in the club face, okay, is if we go to this position here, watch the club face here. As I move my wrist into that extended position to try and create more lag, what's going to happen is, yes, I can create more lag, but that club face has gone severely open. It's twisted severely to the right. What that effectively has done is it's opened the club face. So if we achieve this position on the downswing, we have this increase in lag, but we've done it through extending this lead wrist. Effectively what we've done is we've opened the club face. From there, your two options are going to be delivering the club to the ball with the club pointing excessively right. Doesn't take a genius to work out that's not going to be particularly functional on the golf course. Or, once we get that position on the way down, we will really stall the body, slow the arms down, and we will flick the club past the hands, returning the handle a long way back in order to square the face. That might be a more functional golf shot. It might work more closely to the target, but it's not going to be the best struck shot. The ball flight's going to be weak, it's going to be high, and it's not going to be particularly consistent. So if you are a golfer who is desperately trying to create lag, if you are doing it by extending this lead wrist, which will allow you to get that club shaft closer to your back shoulder, that may look or appear on camera or in reflection to be a much more desirable position. In reality, it's going to give you a lot more issues later on at impact. You're going to find that you hit the ball very much to the right or very high. What we want to make sure is that this lead wrist on the way down is flat, if not a little bit bowed or a little bit flexed. What you will find is that, however, you are not able to achieve as much of a acute angle in that lead wrist. Okay, absolutely fine. We do not want golfers to get this position here because it will not give you better shots on the golf course. It may look better. You may get a picture or an image of Sergio, an image of yourself, and think that looks exactly the same. As I said, in reality, it's not going to be the best thing for you. So, absolutely, let's work on trying to retain these angles. That will give you probably better quality strike, a little bit more club head speed. We just need to make sure, as with many things in the golf swing, we are doing this in the correct way. Anytime we make changes, there are problems that we can fall into. We just need to be aware of them and make sure that we don't fall into those issues. Hopefully, that made a bit of sense. I'm now going to hit one. I've got a mid-iron here, I've got a 7-iron, so I'm just going to pick my target up there, 200 marker, and I'm just going to focus on that lead wrist, making sure that it doesn't sort of cup, and I feel like it's a little bit more flexed as I come down, almost feeling as if the sort of logo part of my glove is twisting more away from me as opposed to twisting more towards me. So let's go ahead and hit a couple. Okay, pretty happy with that. I'm just going to hit another one. I'm just going to hit this one at the left so that you can see from a little bit more of a sort of face-on view. So hopefully try and get myself pretty square to that camera. And so I'm just going to hit this again at the left. Okay, again, pretty good shot. So increasing lag will help many golfers do the things they want to do. Strike the ball better, flight the ball better, and probably hit the ball further. We just need to make sure we're not falling into some bad habits when we do this, because if we do fall into those bad habits, we can actually find we hit it worse on the golf course and the scores start shooting up as opposed to coming down. So hopefully that video was helpful. Hopefully it explains a little bit more about what you're trying to do, gives you a little bit more of an insight as to actually how you're going to do it. And if we can do that, we might play some better golf when we get on the golf course. Okay, thank you very much for watching the video. Post any comments you have in the boxes down below. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. There's content going up weekly, and it just means that you won't miss any of that. Okay, so we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.